Good evening and welcome to Talking Points. My name is Levi Kones. Tonight, as always, we are discussing matters of political interest that have been ongoing in the past week. And joining me are two of my resident panelists. One of them was not able to make it tonight, but we have two, and the show, as we say, must go on. On my extreme left and to your right, Cornelius Chepsoi, karibu sana.
Asante sana.
And Juma Muricho.
Congo missing.
Good to have you here. You have learned that over the week?
Yes, I've done a lot of practice just to pronounce that Congo.
Yeah, just to get a good start. All right. So this week we are discussing the big topic for the week is wooing Kibra. And we are putting it as wooing Kibra because, you know, when you woo someone, you tell them a lot of things. Some of them are truthful. Some of them are outright lies. Some of them are embellishments. And we have seen a lot of that happening the past weekend. ODM Brigade, you guys have been camping there all the time saying it is Baba's bedroom. You had that big rally of yours at the same time. Jubilee had a rally. A lot of talk about who left which rally to go to which. And a lot of talk about the promises that were made. Baba said, a vote for Imran is a vote for me. William Ruto, Deputy President, said, gave all these promises and talked about, providing jobs to the youth. And this today, there's been a hashtag running, calling him all manner of names on Twitter, and just reminding him and the Jubilee Brigade of the promises they made in 2013. So with that as a backdrop, let's start the show. What do you guys think about wooing Kibra?
On Sunday, what happened is that we had two major rallies in Kibra. One was an underdog. It actually never took off. The party leader of Mani left Kibra unceremoniously, but we regret that. But the two rallies
we heard you chased him, not unceremoniously.
One rally
pelted him with stones, in fact.
By some goons.
They moved back to default.
I don't know who hired the goons. It could be Jubilee, but that's said and done.
So they had goons to beat.
I suspect Jubilee had goons to beat up.
You say that because they.
But
Jubilee don't have a representative here today.
On Sunday we had two rallies. One rally was a confirmatory rally done by ODM. Baba had come to confirm to the people of Kibra that this is his home and they needed not to disappoint him.
Yeah.
And the other rally was a wooing rally. Someone came to ask people to support his candidate. And so you see, when you're coming to confirm your stronghold, you don't have a lot to say. You only come to tell them, this is our thing, let's confirm it on 7th. But the other one came to woo Kibrans by making false promises, the way they've always been making promises. And that's why we in ODM are still strong and still on track, and we're still confident that this seat is going to be ours, and we are going to confirm it with a big margin.
Yeah, but if you're very confident, you should let everyone come in.
Yeah, we
and do their thing and get out peacefully.
In fact,
what happened to the beginning? In the beginning, it was, we are shaking hands.
In fact, ODM was very peaceful, and actually the venue that Jubilee was using for their rally was a few meters away from the ODM rally. And His Excellency Honorable Raila Odinga passed the venue where Jubilee rally was going on, and they even waved to him. And they really cheered him.
After His Excellency.
And he's the people's president. We saw him.
Let me bring in James. So listen to this guy.
You know, Levi, it's always very interesting listening to Muricho. Because you'd actually think there are other governments in this country. You would actually think there are people holding offices that don't exist. And somehow he almost convinces me when he says His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga. There's a co-presidency of some sort. Well, I think time will tell how politics in this country is very cunning. The only plus maybe for Raila in Kibra search for votes and wooing, as you say, is it was very dramatic and very interesting to watch Raila stop by and people moving from Jubilee's rally to ODM's rally. But maybe that's where it starts and ends. Because, those both rallies, in my view, had their different strengths. People may have been going to Jubilee rallies because, the money was more or something like that. but they still have to come and listen to Babas with Tendawili and stories. The long and short is that Kibra right now is full of lies. I mean, if you're looking for the place where you can actually, create memes for Kenyans, the best place to go now is Kibra. The issues that you will hear, it wasn't long ago when ODM was claiming this is going to be peaceful, as you said, they were shaking hands.
Yeah.
Then suddenly some gentlemen walked in and said, the likes of Kajwang and the kind of statements they were making, when they realized this thing isn't what it really, it's not what they thought. I've actually been doing an analysis. Part of this upper hill is actually, I don't know whether it's part of Kibra, because I see posters of certain...
yeah, part of it is.
Yeah, so part of this upper hill is part of Kibra. And you see certain posters. If you do an analysis of the kind of posters you see between here, Ngumo, Kenyatta Market, there's a client whose posters are conspicuously missing. Those of Imran. So I'm wondering whether it's strategic, that he doesn't need posters, or whether he feels it's very popular, that he doesn't need to...
whether they are defamed.
Whether somebody is pulling them out, that's a possibility. I mean, this really happens. Just a minute. This possibly happens. But my analysis of Kibra's campaign this time is that there was a strong feeling among ODM members that they would win this by outright.
Yeah.
Then suddenly things
changed.
changed.
Feel that way?
No. It's a
do you still
they're climbing a hill.
Yeah.
Right
This
now.
is our seat, and we have no fear whatsoever.
Because it's a landslide?
Yeah, this is a landslide win. And just the way he said that Imran has no posters in Kibras, many as the ones he's seeing for the other Jubilee candidate. It's true, because Kizuri chajiuza. And you don't have to introduce yourself to the people where you come from. Imran is born. Imran is born and bred. Let me nail this. Please don't interrupt. Imran is born and bred in Kibra.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to introduce himself to Kibra. And the Mariga candidate, he's not even a voter in Kibra himself. Imran, before even we begin counting votes from the residents of Kibra themselves, Imran will have the vote of His Excellency Honorable Raila Odinga, the vote of Mama Ida Odinga, the vote of Win Odinga, the vote of Raila Jr., just before even the normal Mwananchi begin to vote. But
those are 4 votes.
But those are 4 votes already. But Mariga will not be voted for by the deputy president of this country. He will not be voted for by Mama Millicent Omanga. He will not be voted by all those people you've been seeing around in Kibra, making noise about Mariga being a candidate.
But let me ask, in terms of the issues, away from the sideshows and all these things of whether posters are there or not, the real issues surrounding Kibra, who is outlining them? Because when we look at the ODM rally, there's a suggestion that the issues are lost. And in both rallies, see, ODM rally, you hear talk about this is Baba's bedroom, we cannot let it go, you people need to, respect Baba, vote for him, and those are not the issues. And then you go to the Jubilee section and you hear promises that some of them seem wild, and some of them seem to be like promises being given on the basis of votes. And yet, regardless of votes, some of those things that need to happen in Kibra need to happen. So, are the issues lost in the...
The premise on which these campaigns in Kibra are based is the record of Ken Okoth. So, Imran coming in, he was hoping that there will be a presumption of continuity from Ken Okoth to himself. Checks in Jubilee, and of course they make really big promises, which of course, in my own opinion, is a lot of hogwash. Because you can't go to the same people that you campaigned 2013, 2017, and you're still making the same promises that you made over and over. And I can see he's very happy because he thinks I'm supporting his candidate now. But the point is, all these issues are lost. Even Ken's record is lost in all these skills. I've argued before that I don't even think Baba himself is convinced he needs Imran to win. I think Baba is torn between having Imran winning to protect the seat and give it back to ODM, and a weaker candidate winning so he can plant his own candidate in 2022. Because if assuming, of course, hypothetically, that Imran is stronger than the other candidates.
Yeah, and wins by a landslide, as he says.
Yes, it's going to be a tough task to replace him in 2022. Because, ODM actually makes the point themselves when they say this is Baba's bedroom, which now they have to defend with everything they've got. Meaning this bedroom is actually beginning to become a difficult task. It means that the sitting room is gone, the kitchen is gone, the compound is full. Now we've retreated to the bedroom and we have to defend it. But having said that, let's be honest. I feel appalled, personally, to think that Jubilee can go and make certain promises in Kibra. You cannot possibly go to Kibra today and tell them, if you elect Mariga, meaning if he's not elected, you're not going to do. The whole purpose of a government is to provide services to everybody, irrespective of who they voted for. So for me, for the deputy president and his brigade to go and make premises on the basis of an election of a candidate that is allied to Jubilee, surely it is shameful.
So do you feel anyone is actually articulating the issues?
No. Like I said before in this show, this fight and this competition isn't between Mariga, Owalo, and others, including Imran. It is not about them. It's about two giants trying to see who actually can take the other down. It's between William Ruto and...
Are you discussing any issues?
I'm still looking at Chepsoi and I'm wondering where he stays and if he has a radio or a television in his house. Because what has been happening in Kibra, it has been a campaign based on issues.
How?
Like, for example, I only want you to listen to people like the outsiders who are coming to Kibra to speak to the Kiberians. I want you to listen to the candidates. And if you played a clip here of Mariga on Sunday, you listen to what he was telling the people of Kibra, his agenda, and you will ultimately tell that he has no idea what the functions of a member of parliament are. And if you looked at what Imran was talking about, just listen to the whole speech of Imran Okoth. He wasn't talking about people. He wasn't discussing about ideas.
He was actually listening to the candidates? Because even when they get airtime and when we see them on the local newspapers and the airtime that's out there, whatever is trending on social media is not from the candidates as much. It's actually from the people surrounding them. They've come and overshadowed. If you look at Jubilee, when you ask Mariga 2 questions, he's been unable to go for any interview one-on-one. I don't know whether it's by strategy or by design, but I know one thing for sure is that there is no shortfall of people who have not invited him to a particular show. I have, but you can't get him to come to a show. Why? Because that's the best place they could even articulate their own issues to people. But the same thing has happened to Imran.
You've not invited him.
Imran would have taken advantage of the situation, surely. I can guarantee you. I can guarantee you even this show has. But if you're telling us it's for lack of an invite, then please invite him. Because we have not seen him either take advantage of the situation. If Mariga is said to not be able to articulate himself, then where is Imran?
The media is selectively choosing one to report, and I'm disappointed with that because
here we go.
Let's bash the media. If we looked at
it works,
and if
it's supposed to work.
You went deeply to find, and I'm challenging you to find that clip, and maybe you can play for the sake of Kenyans to know what's happening in Kibra on Sunday.
It shouldn't be difficult to find such a clip because
it's there. It's actually trending on Facebook
quickly.
It's trending on Facebook and Twitter. The clip. The comparison of what Imran was talking about and what the Jubilee candidate
I've seen that one, but I have only seen that's very selective by somebody possibly from your party who has taken a few words and mashed them with another one. I'm pretty sure if you keep on looking at the speeches, you'll find others that are different.
It's not edited.
No,
it's as raw as it was.
Yes.
Especially for our candidate.
But listen, it's a section of the speech. It's not the entire speech, is it?
Yes.
So then it is edited.
Levy, let me tell you. There was a clip of a gentleman looking a bit drunk, and I even suspect he was challenging from the accent that he had in Kibra, making his point. I mean, I don't know whether it was a journalist or whoever it is who was asking him, but it was on social media. And he made a point. He argued on behalf of Imran. And I thought he was by far better in making a case for Imran than Imran himself. And all he said is, I do not see how we are going to be able to trust I mean, his point was basically there are so many children who are already on bursary. And in his own judgment, he did not see he was going to entrust that to Mariga because he didn't see a nexus between Mariga and the work that Ken Okoth was doing. Because in his mind, Mariga was an outsider, he saw an opportunity, and he wanted to come in to get a seat.
Capitalize, yes.
Now, when I listened to that gentleman who was actually making a point about children who were sponsored either through bursary or directly by Ken Okoth, his biggest concern was where and who can be trusted with this program so that we don't lose this kind of bursaries for our children. None of these candidates convince the locals in Kibra. That's why there's more drama. There's more arguments about William Ruto's appearance in Kibra. There's more talk about Raila's appearance or the lack of it in Kibra. Nobody is really addressing an issue. And that's what I'm saying. For Jubilee to go into Kibera and talk about what they are going to do, how they are going to create jobs, how they are going to put them in the military while they are in government is a shame. Because these are things they should have been doing long before they went to Kibra for campaigns. And you know, I like these ODM guys. The zeal with which they defend a party that doesn't seem to have a head or a tail. I mean, today, ODM, somebody has commented on social media and asked ODM, what exactly are you? Are you in government or outside government? Because the last time they ever even opposed government as an opposition, including the bill that has been passed today,
the finance bill.
In the finance bill. Yeah. And somebody is asking, where is the opposition's role in all these things? They seem to be agreeing with the president more than anyone else. So this is the irony of politics of this country. And Kibra is just showing us the truth of what goes on. Sell a story, however much you don't believe in it. Yeah. Say the most lies that you can, give them what they need to hear, and move on. This is why my brother Muricho needs to take a lesson from his Secretary General. What's his name again? Edwin Sifuna. Remember what Edwin Sifuna said? If Punguza Mzigo collects the 1 million signatures, I will quit my job. You know, he has never left.
Chepsoi has already left the Kibra politics.
These people do not believe in what
he's now hammering ODM.
He's now talking about ODM. I don't think if that was the question. The question here is who is best poised to fit in the shoes of Ken Okoth?
No, the question is who is
That's
discussing
not the question.
Those are the issues.
Listen, we are not. Yeah. No, but you're framing your own question.
The issues here. Chepsoi, you've had airtime to speak.
But you're framing your own question. Answer the question.
The issues here are pegged on who has left Kibra and why we're having this by-election in the first place. It's because there was a member of parliament who was performing well, and this member of parliament was lost. And now we are finding a person who can fit in his shoes. And those are the issues. The issues here is education. The issues here are infrastructure, youth unemployment. And these are the problems affecting this country.
Are you discussing them?
Those are the issues we are discussing. And that's why I've challenged you to get the speeches that Imran has been giving. Also,
so what you're saying basically, don't listen to anybody else.
Don't listen to
the party stalwarts. Don't listen to the other guys.
Outsiders. Kiberians know what they want.
Let's not just say outsiders.
And Raila Odinga is not an outsider in Kibra. He's also a Kiberian.
I wouldn't want us to lose this question. Yes. So let's get it very correct. You know, what you're saying is, do not listen to your own party stalwarts. Just listen to Imran. That's the guy talking the issues.
What I'm saying is that
correct me if I'm wrong,
the people of Kibra.
Levy, correct me if I'm wrong.
And the people of Kibra.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Just 1 second so you can continue. Correct me if I'm wrong. But Raila doesn't live in Kibra.
He's a voter in Kibra.
He's a voter. Correct. Living. He's talking about what he said.
Kibra
He's a voter. Hold on. He's a voter in Kibra, but does not live in Kibra. In fact, he lives in Karen. So for Murijo to try and convince us that Baba's vote is important in Kibra, there is no difference between Baba's vote and Mariga's vote. Both of them do not live in Kibra. They are opportunists who have seen a place where they can make politics. End of story.
I do hope.
Kibera used to be a big constituency, including Langata. Yes, and that's why Raila was living in Karen. But he still maintained his status of
I only want to digress.
And that means he understands Kibra more than
there's no point in digressing. I think we've got the point. The viewers have got the point. I need to switch gears and I want to move to BBI. so much is being said about BBI, yet we have not seen the BBI. And I was really hoping that Solomon would be here tonight because we had central Kenya leaders really making complaints about their underrepresentation and discussing, and it seems to me that we are discussing a document we have not yet seen. What's the problem, guys?
I mean, Levi, sure.
What's the issue here?
Why are you
Hii kitu
asking?
iko na nini
You're
yenye-
asking what you already know.
Yeah.
The point is,
punguza mzigo.
Yeah.
yes, I am. I mean,
Punguza gunia.
I'm a punguza mzigo
What are we
guy.
discussing? Nobody has put out the BBI for us.
Here's the point. You see, Kenyans have a habit of shooting down. They shoot in the dark, basically. It's very basic. Here is the thing. There's been talk, rumors, of course, that the BBI report is going to suggest a parliamentary kind of system because Uhuru wants to extend his life and give presidency to Raila. And that's rumors. As you said, this document is not out. It's the same way BBI was shot. I have friends who told me we don't want BBI. And every time Punguza Mzigo, every time I asked them if they have read, their answer was very basic. No, tumesikia. So, I mean, for me, BBI is, I mean, this constitutional amendments is a competition for power between individuals that want to be president and that want to be prime ministers, if so, it's coming. So basically, Kenyans don't care about the document that is coming. Kenyans never cared about the constitution in 2010 anyway. So they wrote a document that they didn't read themselves. They voted for it. There are people who tell you, hakuna haja ya kusoma, baba amesoma. So we are where we were in 2010. We are basically where because I kept asking the one question. I was still waiting for somebody to take down Punguza Mzigo based on a proper account of what it failed to do. People kept saying they did not collect opinion. Now, BBI has spent close to 10 billion of Kenyan money purportedly collecting information. Why is it being shut down? Number two, and now since we are discussing Mount Kenya and their decision to oppose BBI, whose report has not come out, they keep talking about representation, right? Which they are saying was not equitable inside Punguza Mzigo. Now they are also arguing BBI is not giving us equitable representation.
They made comparison, said in Migori County, they have, they have 8 constituencies and less number of people than Kirinyaga County, who are slightly more than Migori counterparts, and they have 4 constituencies. And it seems like we seem to be now in the discussion of what's in a document, when we should have been doing this at the participation stage.
But this
Yet, we are not seeing the document. What's up? The guys behind BBI.
The BBI report is not out. What is happening is that people are throwing speculations on media to test what.
What is the monster in there that you're hiding, that you have not removed?
We are not hiding, and I'm not a committee member in the BBI group of experts. What happens is that we first began by, first of all, we need to understand the reason as to why BBI came in place in the first place. There were problems that were facing the country, political uncertainty. And 2 brothers decided to shake hands and look for ways to solve this. That going forward, we should not experience this.
That's how you have scoffed at that.
That going forward, we should not experience uncertainty in this country because of elections. And that begged more questions that we needed to improve the constitution. And you understand that this constitution was just amended in 2010. That's where we had this constitution being inaugurated into a document.
Let me cut you short because you're telling us why we came here.
No. Just allow me
latitude. How we got here.
Just allow me some latitude to express my point, because I'll lose it. And in 2010, we had people who said, no, this constitution was not good enough. And they said that we must correct the things that we feel are wrong before we even pass it. But there are those who said, no, let's pass it and amend it in future. And I think that future has now come, that we make a perfect document that will help this country run well. And that said, we moved into BBI after the handshake. And the first stage was... I have to stop you, because I feel as if you are wasting a lot of our airtime on the history. No, the first stage of how we got here. The reason as to why I'm doing that is because you people keep misleading Kenyans.
Make your point.
This is a document based on 2 people who are looking for positions. And that's what I'm trying to kill here. That this is not about persons. It's about the future of this nation. And the first stage of collection of the first stage of collecting views of Kenyans has just closed, and that's not the end. After the BBI report is going to be out, it's going again to another stage of collecting more views, correcting where we think they've not done a perfect
to be
job.
very fair,
And after that, we now move
I think
into...
you've not told us anything really. You've said a lot of words, but you actually haven't really told us anything in terms of what's in the BBI is what I asked you.
We can't say. I personally don't know what's in the BBI.
When do we expect it to be out? We hear that
we can't
possibly
say
it is told because you have not got a State House appointment to be able to push it out there. But I see perhaps maybe we can't talk about this until we do get it out there.
Levi,
yes.
I'd like to first correct my brother.
Yes.
If he is talking about Uhuru and Raila calling themselves brothers now, he must remember Uhuru called William Ruto my brother for the longest. And not only that, they even wore same trousers, same color trousers, same color shirts, same color ties. Today,
and even kunjat them.
Yeah, and even took the opportunity to fold the shirts the same way. And appear in so many, made so many appearances together from State House. So if we are really referring to brotherhood, surely you cannot forget the brotherhood that was even mimicked in comic shows in this country. The one for William Ruto and Uhuru. Raila hasn't gotten close to what Ruto had with Uhuru. Now the point is, Muricho is trying to convince us that this document is not about Uhuru and Raila. And he's trying to convince us that this is a document, and he has used in my view, a very wrong word by saying the BBI is trying to give Kenyans a perfect document. It was imperfect in 2010, it was imperfect in 1963, it's not going to be perfect just because Uhuru and Raila have decided they were the warring factions, they need to bring peace. And remember, nobody can guarantee peace in a country.
So in your view, what is the delay?
Except equality.
Because that's what they say.
There is a danger. Let me tell you what has happened. Even the proponents of BBI now do not know what to do. Because they were hoping that they would have support of Kenyans, especially after the Kenyans took down Punguza Mzigo, which in my view was taken down by cartels. Now,
that's propaganda.
Yeah, well,
and he doesn't hold brief for BBI.
It's
he can't speak for BBI.
But I'm making my own opinion. Yeah. This is my opinion.
I'm asking you the same question. What's holding us up?
But let me make my point.
Yeah.
This BBI now has come into place. You remember in 2010, the likes of Duale used to say, we are not going to accept this thing on the basis of one man, one vote, because they were marginalized. They have so much land mass and no human beings.
Yeah, so what's the hold up? Because they need to move something else.
No, that's what I'm saying. Now, if you bring this BBI in the state it is in, the people who do not want William Ruto to ascend to power now have a serious problem. Because now it's a parliamentary system. It is who gets more MPs to vote for him as Prime Minister.
And
Central
again,
Kenya,
if it is a parliamentary system.
Central Kenya is disadvantaged
yeah,
because there are fewer.
And you know, he's already discussing about the BBI content that we are advocating for.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
So
we do not know.
We do not know the BBI.
So you can't answer me on what's the hold up.
We don't know what
something is holding it up, but we don't know what.
Holding us up.
You know, Levi, we are trying to pretend.
The committee is ready with the report.
Yes.
And I think they're supposed to hand it over to the two leaders, that's Honorable Raila.
And what's the hold up?
But the president is not in the country.
He was here.
He's not in the country. He's on official duty. We expect
we'll be right back after this.
Why are we speculating?
No, this is talking points.
Why are we speculating?
Tosimoche nyoru logoiwekab emet kokayaak, rahisi nea kit neyoe, iyokte ng'olyot news kwa namba 40079 asinai ile tos ne netesetai en emet.
Tangu mdosi wangu anze kunywa hii sabuni ya White Wash Extra, mambo imekuwa poa sana. Inafomu haraka sana na hata kufua imekuwa ni rahisi. Siku hizi hata demu wake analeta nguo zake kufuliwa huku. White Wash Extra iko best.
Welcome back to Talking Points. My name is Levi Konas. So glad to hear from you tonight. And by the way, if you want to get in on the conversation, you can be able to text us using the WhatsApp numbers on your screen. We'll be able to read these texts as we continue. Let me read from Dominic Manthi from Makweni. He says, all the running candidates in Kibra are political sycophants with no deal of development of Kibra. Let them stop the leadership illusion that they think Kibra ni ya mama zao. Kibra people will decide who will be their MP. And then there's Evans Kipruto from Mount Elgon. And he says hi. And he's telling Muricho, come and vie for Senator Bungoma, you are ripe. You put that fellow there to you have your guys campaigning for you here quietly, yeah? And then finally somebody, he doesn't give us his name, but he says is in Kamoyo, Nandi County, and he says Jubilee will win the seat in Kibra hands down.
Don't break our
You'll continue talking, by the way, more. You can text us on the numbers on WhatsApp. We'll be able to read.
Jubilee has no agenda in Kibra
And
they are poised to lose.
But right now, let's talk about former President Daniel Arap Moi. He's been unwell. He's been hospitalized. But there is a lot of talk. People are saying all manner of things on social media, on the forums, you know. And we saw a headline by the Star newspaper that said he was in critical condition. Came out yesterday, actually. And it has been vilified by some that it went beyond the journalism circles and entered into malice. Now, in the quest for trying to find out how Mzee is, where does journalism end and malice begins, or is all information just information? What are your thoughts? Or is as some are saying, that the guys around the former president, I hate to use the word former because, you know, they said the title does not die. I would say the second president.
He said retired.
Yeah.
He said himself he's a retired president.
He's a retired president.
Retired from politics.
Yes.
But,
Yeah. So the retired president and his guys, the guys surrounding him, some people are saying they are not giving us full information. Should they? Is he still, you know, that kind of national symbol enough for us to find out so much about him? Does he get an iota of privacy? Your thoughts, guys?
you go first.
For me, I wish the president quick recovery. I mean, Mzee Moi, I wish him quick recovery. I just think, first we must appreciate the fact that the Star is in business. It's got to sell papers. So they are going to use anything that works for them. Number two, up to now, nobody knows whether it's true, whether he's in critical condition or whether it was actually exaggeration by the Star. For two reasons. One, Mzee deserves his own privacy and his family as well. Number two, I think also to speak of an old Mzee Moi at that age and to write a headline of that nature, considering the fact that he has so many people who follow him, people who may love him and those who may loathe him. I think it's too, sometimes this is just sensational. It's of no use. It doesn't help the country. It doesn't help the newspaper, because for every one customer you get, you lose another one who may not have been happy about your headlines. The point is, I think it's very difficult to regulate the mind of an individual, especially somebody who's trying to sell a newspaper. And this is why, for very long, journalists were fighting for self-regulation, in the hope that they know, editors know what to write and what not to write. So in my view, it's sensational. It doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help the newspaper itself. It doesn't help the country. And I think most Kenyans have ignored the sensationalism of the Star for a very long time. These are tabloid.
So, but do Kenyans need more information?
I think it's up to the family to decide whether we deserve it or not.
I hear you. Mauricio?
I want to take this opportunity to wish His Excellency, the former president of this country, a quick recovery. But I want to say that Moi served this country for 24 good years as a president and 15 years as a vice president. So he was in office actually for about 49 years. Is it 49 or 39? 39 years. And that's a person who is of great value to this nation. And I think Kenyans deserve to know his status of health. They deserve to know because he really served this country. But the extent at which it is done is also supposed to be an issue here. Suppose Mzee, you know, I understand Mzee reads the newspaper every morning because that used to be his culture even when he's still in office. Now, suppose he now is given that Star newspaper in the morning while in hospital to read, and the headline is that conspicuous about his health. We need also to be fair to him and to the family. Let the family choose what to share, and I know it's a family, first family, they have the communication teams that are well qualified and they know how to communicate to the country and to each extent. I think let's allow them their privacy. As we even pray for Mzee, let's allow the family privacy, and the media should at least have some courtesy.
Right. That's what that is. Now, we need to switch gears and talk about something else, and that is the state of the handshake.
Murijo is beginning.
I see the pensive mood.
Murijo is beginning to accept realities.
Yeah. I see the pensive mood on the state of the handshake. Now, the state of the handshake. It's been about a year since a year and give or take a few months down the line that President Uhuru and Raila Amolo Odinga stood on the steps of Harambee House and shook hands, and we have heard about handshake, and how the handshake imeimarisha mambo na kuna amani and all that. And yet, in this year, Mwananchi is asking himself, so what are the real benefits of this handshake? What am I reaping from it? People, ODM, your guys will say it is peace. That is, we are reaping from the handshake the most. Even in the campaigns in Kibra, we have heard that the handshake, can enable some guys to
now go to Kibra
to have some kind of unity. It's even being used as a political tool, like this is a handshake candidate and the other guy is not. And yet we are at a point where companies are laying off workers. Banks are now returning charges on removing the caps of interest. The judiciary is not being funded. And we have even seen mobile courts have even closed shop. Now even appeal cases are taking longer to be heard. We have an economic turmoil in terms of unemployment. Cases rising day and night. NHIF is saying that it's projecting that by next year, NHIF will not be able to do payouts because right now they're at 85% of payouts and previously they were at 60-something. So it doesn't look too rosy for local Mwananchi to say that the fruits of the handshake are good. What's happening? Were you guys better with the tear gas and
I can confidently report that the handshake was something good for this country. That we needed peace in this country. We needed tranquility for businesses to flourish.
Yeah,
but
he alluded to something, and
he
alluded to something that because of the handshake, there is no one to speak for the Mwananchi, and as a result, when everything is going haywire, there is just silence because there is a handshake.
I was just saying that with that peace and tranquility, it is the responsibility of the government of the day to ensure that the services that they're supposed to give to Mwananchi are given, that to ensure that they use that peace and tranquility to ensure that corruption does not flourish. The government of the day is supposed to use that peace and tranquility to invite investors in the business sectors and private investors, local and foreign investors, to invest in our country, to create more jobs. The government of the day is supposed to use that peace and tranquility to its favor to run the country. We must understand that even after Raila shaking hands with Uhuru Kenyatta, he did not take power and is not in charge of the country. The government of the day remains in charge. And it's
and
them
supposed to be
who
in
are
a position
supposed
to still check. Who's doing the checking?
The problem is that we tend to blame so much the opposition on the problems that the government itself is supposed to solve.
Yeah, but
we are not to put our government to task.
Mauricio, I'll not let you get
It's
it
not,
but
it's
we
not the
cannot
work
just
of the,
blame-
it's not the work of the opposition. Connect just a moment.
But the
it's not the
opposition
work,
has a duty.
Okay, I will get to that. It's not the work of the opposition to create jobs. It's not the work of the opposition to fight corruption.
What it is
It's
work?
not the work of the opposition. And actually, if you were to go to the Constitution 2010, the Constitution does not recognize opposition. And that's why Honorable Raila Odinga is not in Parliament.
Okay.
The Constitution doesn't
So you
recognize.
are
What happens is that
handcuffed by the
what
by
happens
the-
is that
by
what
the
happens is
Constitution.
the problem is whenever things go wrong in this country, we tend to blame those people who are not in office instead of actually questioning the office of the people who are in office. And it's not just the work of those who lose elections to
Right.
put the
Chepsoi,
government.
let me bring you in.
No, before Chepsoi, it's not just the work of those who lose elections to put the government on toes. The media has a role to play.
We're doing it.
What?
That's why we're asking you.
I would know. The question I will ask you is that what is the media doing to bring the social evils that are going around the country? Are you doing enough investigations?
We are asking
to
the
enlighten
questions.
Kenyans?
Yes, we are.
For example,
we are asking the questions.
for-
We are asking the questions. That's why we're asking you about the handshake and saying, now what is this? Because we expect that it's supposed to give betterment to society. Like we say, we've shaken hands. So life for Mwananchi, as they saw it, was that life is going to get better. And that's what was sold to them as well. We are shaking hands for you to have better.
I'll be
now,
more
you
happy
might have
Kones.
peace in terms of...
I'll be happy, Kones,
Yes.
if you questioned the government on how it's using the peace to its advantage.
You
to
know-
run the
Oh, I am.
government.
We are about to start
Other
talking
than
about
questioning
the president's flights.
Other than
Just
questioning
now.
a
You know-
handshake
you know,
that is
David,
has brought peace
I have
to give the
argued
government
before,
a chance to work
and
for
I
the
want
people.
to suggest to my brother what I have told him before on this show. It's about time he replaces Edwin Sifuna as the chief defender of ODM. He will do a better job. He will do a better job because this man has no other agenda than to defend this man called Baba and the party ODM. Because truly speaking, if there is something that has gone wrong in this country, it's an opposition leader joining government. The presumption that handshake has brought peace to Kenya is madness to think about. You know, you cannot tell Kenyans just because Raila and Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta shook hands, there's been peace. Because you would be saying, in a nutshell, that this government was incapable anyway of maintaining law and order. That's number one. These are two people who competed. The elections were contested by Raila, arguing that he won and he was robbed of an election. He did not even allow himself to finish, to get justice. Enough. He checked out and backed out at the second election. So Raila has been an opportunist in my view ever since he ran for an election. This man has never planned to become president. He never cared. It was always business for him. So I want to tell you on this table today that this handshake has brought more problem to Kenya. Peace is not the absence of arms or war. It's also a state of mind. There's so many people today committing suicide because the economy is very bad. If you go into these slums, there's a lot of torture, killings. Mungiki is raising its head again. There's a lot of problems. Mombasa, you heard of people being hacked to death. The thing that handshake only brought is that it took Raila from opposition into government. And whatever he was given is quiet. In fact, William Ruto and his Tangatanga group are more of opposition than Raila is ever going to be opposition.
I want to ask
Because
Chepsoi one
let
question.
Let him ask
I want to ask you just a question and then you'll continue.
Just before you ask, because I know you're really going to defend Baba again.
No, I don't want to. I want
But
to
I'm
ask
going
a
to ask
question
this
that,
question. When was the last time you heard ODM disagree with government in parliament? And he has made another allegation on the media. Look at everything today that the government is going after. It's always something that has been raised by media. Mara Haste was raised by media, not an opposition. But if you go back before election, everything Raila told us the government was doing wrong, he is the chief supporter. In fact, the one picture that remains in my mind to this day is Raila in Galana. Before election, Raila told us Galana Gulalu was a haste of huge magnitudes. Raila went to the same place after handshake.
And rubber stamped it.
And rubber
Kones,
stamped.
Kones,
It
my
is-
brother Chepsoi has told us that Raila is in government. My question was, what is the position of Raila Odinga in government of Kenya?
First, I haven't said Raila is in government. I have said Raila has joined hands with the people in government to defeat everything.
I think I heard you well when you said that the opposition has joined the government.
But
and
it
now
is.
Raila is in government.
If,
I doubt that's
if
not
in
the
parliament
situation.
you are agreeing, you are passing
Chepsoi,
motions together.
Chepsoi.
Basically, what are you?
Chepsoi, I want to say this categorically, that Raila is still the leader of opposition and is not in government. And the work of a leader of opposition
Wait, I thought
is
you
not...
said-
Is
Let me get this
is-
straight, because it's less than 10 minutes ago
He came
that you
second
that you
after the
said
president.
that it was not a constitutional position.
Yeah, it's not constitutional, but he came second.
So now it's
he,
there.
he came second, and therefore, by moral standing, he's the best qualified to challenge
Yeah,
the government of the day.
But how is he going to challenge?
And what I wanted
How
to say
is
is
it-
that what I wanted to say is that the work of such a person is not just to oppose everything that he said. It's also about coming together with the leader, the government of the day, to agree on basic fundamentals. And that's what is happening.
There's a lot
the
of
brothers are,
agreeing,
the,
there's a
the
lot of
brothers are
agreeing going
consulting.
on.
The brothers are consulting. And they are consulting to make the
I have to
country
move on
better.
something
Wait,
else.
let me-
Before-
I have to-
before
I
you
have to
move,
make a
we
point.
leave
Before
consultations, but,
before you
I
move.
need to make a point about
Yeah.
what. First of all, we have seen better days of ODM, better days of Raila when he was actually in opposition, and the kind of things that he told us that made us believe in him and made so many Kenyans
Connect.
vote for him, to the point Raila himself actually said that his election was stolen. But having said that, go back to the one remark I like to make. Ghana, the man who lost an election and told the then president, please listen, just because you won the election doesn't mean all Ghanaians believe in you. If Raila, as we said, for him to force a runoff, it means he came so close to winning.
No, he won.
Or yes, as he says, he won, but it was stolen. So much so that this was a contested election. That means so many people believed in Raila and thought for one moment that he would actually continue the things that made them buy into his story. Today, Raila is a pale shadow of what he was a long time ago.
We have seen Raila come out openly to talk about corruption alongside the president. And is that not working? And,
This is-
and you know,
this
before,
guy,
no,
Maurizio
Chepsoi, you've
now-
spoken.
No,
Chepsoi,
Chepsoi, you've
you had a
spoken.
moment, yes.
You've
You are
spoken.
making
You've
the-
spoken. Chepsoi has picked an example. Like, it's not Raila who came out to talk about the Mara heist. Yes, it wasn't him. Before the handshake, if it was Raila coming out to talk about the Mara heist, they would have said, this is a lot of poverty. This is a man who doesn't support anything. He opposes everything and
So you
everything.
put your hands up. I
No,
think I see where
that's
where
not the
story is
point.
going.
That's not the
I
point.
see
They
where
have
the
hung
story
their
is
That's not the
boots.
point.
Yeah. You
What's
hung up
happening
your boots.
currently, and we have not hung out up our boots, and
Do you see
Raila
that
Odinga is
opposition in
still
Kenya? Do you
working.
think so?
Raila is working. The work of the opposition is not just about opposing.
No.
It's also about
No, it isn't. But yet
talking
we-
to the government of
yet
the
we have
day.
seen a lot of agreeing.
Talking
It's also
about-
not just agreeing.
Levy.
Talking about
Levy.
It's also pointing out
Levy.
issues that
And-
are going wrong and saying, hey,
Levy,
yeah, lately, nothing.
Let's just use the word itself.
Nothing.
Opposition, not agreeing.
not opposing, not opposing.
I have to go to the last thing on the lineup tonight, and
It's not just opposing. The
we have to
opposition.
talk about how I need to read a message here first. Somebody is asking about how the life of the Moi is. I think we already passed that discussion. But finally, let's talk about flying above economic turmoil and discuss about Uhuru Kenyatta, the president of Kenya. He has flown to a whooping 31 destinations in the last 14 months.
The flying president would be more like the
About
title.
19 in the last 6 months. And as we speak right now, he's out in
Oman.
Saudi Arabia. He'll be coming back and going, not really coming back, he's going through Botswana. There was a big issue about the jet that he used when he went to Russia the other day and went to Japan. And some people are saying that there's some detachment between the president and the reality on the ground. And we have even put the caption, flying above economic turmoil. Is the president going out too much? Are these trips beneficial to the country? Is it part of being the presidency? We know by now, of course, the president has flown out of the country more times than all our previous presidents
Combined.
combined.
I think.
Is it because we're in 2019? Is it a good thing?
No. We must, as Kenyans, we must start being candid. Uhuru is very, 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 very wasteful. There is no better term to use. Uhuru has no regard for Kenyans at all. And I'm saying this because, I've asked myself, first of all, let's start with the fundamental problem that is African presidents. They have gone to China to beg. They have been to Europe to beg. They go to US to beg. They go to Canada to beg. They go to Saudi Arabia and others to beg. Now, we have finally landed in Russia. And I have argued, even before this journalism came out, writing about what Kenyans and other African presidents got from Russia, it was already obvious that the only thing they'll get from Russia is mostly artillery. And you can see the headlines and titles that have come out from the meetings in Russia. Uhuru, he's talking to us about things that he himself doesn't want to do. He's the finance minister, acting finance minister. He's actually telling and writing letters to ministries and parastatals and telling them to reduce expenditure. They have gone ahead to cut allocations to judiciary. Yet, nobody is talking about cutting down on presidential trips. This man will run down this economy. Actually, no. He has run down this economy to a point, even when he leaves power, we will be struggling to get back on our feet. Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta must be treated as a person who does not have a regard for the people who elected him to office. Because you cannot be going, everybody is shutting down their businesses. Everybody is talking about profit cuts. There is warning everywhere. And you are the only man who doesn't seem to see. This man is making a mockery of all voters and citizens combined. If a team, like the one recently I read on the newspaper, could not even get money to get back to a country.
They've been sorted down.
Yes, but the president had money to fly everywhere. Don't you even for a moment feel ashamed as a president? And there's another thing. I never understand why presidents in Africa think that it is so crucial to own a plane. If you remember Moi used to fly Kenya Airways. They would book the business class, and the Mzee was sitting there. What is so big that last time when William Ruto hired a jet to go to West Africa, the Hustlers jet, it raised a lot of issues. Now, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta has done the same. Nobody is questioning. These people are wasteful. And it's very basic.
The situation in this country is there in terms of
or is this part of the handshake?
The Hustler jet story was broken by Raila. He's not breaking the president's jet.
When are you going to allow me to speak in this show today?
It's part of the handshake, is it?
Kenyans are suffering.
Yeah.
Kenyans are suffering. The economy is so bad. We are actually on our knees. And remember, we've already hit the borrowing limit. We are at the ceiling. And USA has pulled out in sponsoring a project that they had just committed to start. That is the superhighway from Mombasa to Nairobi. And we are so much indebted to other countries that we cannot even afford to pay those loans until we now go for loans to repay loans. And that's the situation in this country. Even to the common mwananchi, people are living above their means today because they cannot even afford to live on a dollar. It's so sad to notice that even with this, the president is busy flying out. For presidents to fly out of the country, to go to foreign countries, it's a good thing. That they go there to look for investors, to woo investors into a country. They go there to assert themselves as a leader in the community of states. We go there to look for opportunities for our people. That's what is supposed to happen. And during his whole term, President Kibaki went out 31 times. That is for the 10 years he served this country. And within those 31 visits to outside the country, we noticed a lot of development in this country, infrastructural, in education, poverty eradication. But today nothing is going on. Even with those visits that the president is taking out, 81 in total ever since he went into office, There is nothing substantial that Kenyans can now peg on his leadership for the last about 7 years in office. I think Kenyans need to wake up and put their president to task. Youths in this country are suffering because there are no jobs. Money is being stolen left, right, and center, and all we see the president coming out to say is that mnataka nifanye nini. I believe, you know, there's been a notion that whenever we blame Jubilee government for some wrongs, it always goes to the deputy president. When we talk about the stadiums that were promised, you always blame it on the deputy president. When we talk about corruption or Kimwarer, we always pull it to the deputy president. But today, I think I want to disagree with that notion. If the government is being mismanaged, the buck stops with the president. Because even there is no payment of more than $1 billion that can be made in this
What
country
about your brother who
without
is
the assent
consulting?
of the president.
You told us earlier that they're in consultations.
You know there are extents that they can consult, because Honorable Raila Odinga is not the president, he's not anybody in the government. He can only consult if the president wants to consult him. And he doesn't stand liable to any mistakes.
Right, I'll bring us to our final remarks for the night with everything we have said. What's the one thing you want to leave the viewers with? What's standing out for you?
Yeah, first, let me make a remark. I think he finally agrees that his big brother, Baba, may actually have very little influence in this whole running of the country. And by admitting, he's actually saying this handshake was hogwash. I just want to say, I think I give a lot of credit.
I don't think that's what he's saying, but you know,
we
just had to jab him.
Yeah. It is already too difficult for my brother to accept a lot of these things. But
yeah.
I think I want to make a point. First, I want to say, I think, if there is anybody who takes credit for what has happened to this country, the economic turmoil, the failure of institutions, the lack of discretion, and just unimaginable ills that this country is suffering from. We must first give credit to Cambridge Analytica that was hired by Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta to perpetuate lies in this country. It is amazing that Kenyans believe even outright lies that they, with their naked eyes and ears, can see and hear. That they would actually imagine that Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta still knows what he's doing in this country. In many other jurisdictions, Uhuru Muigai would have called it quits. If you go to every business, every street in Nairobi, every building, you will not lack at least somebody who's shutting down. Kirinyaga Road, which was booming with business, shutting down. And everybody you talk to, even in the rural, the deepest of places where they would never suffer food, everything is becoming tight. Cash is tight. In fact, the central bank governor has finally come to a realization that even with this idea of demonetization in the hope that they would actually get a lot of those people who are holding money, he has come to the realization that these figures are being cooked in treasury. You cannot tell Kenyans that you're having a GDP that is growing when jobs are shrinking, purchasing power is going down. So basically, I would like to ask Uhuru and William Ruto and Raila to give way to others. This is not a job for you anymore. There's no business for you here. You have created enough turmoil, enough economic problems. You have indebted this country to places and points that will take years to bring us back. It's time for you. And I keep saying, Levi, as my closing remarks, you can never solve a problem with the same mind that created it in the first place. These three people are Kenya's problem today. And I hope that in 2022, Kenyans will retire all of them and bring in new blood.
I hear you.
I think GDP may be growing. They're not cooking figures. The GDP may be growing because the billionaires are growing more rich. But that doesn't translate into households. The households may be growing poorer, but the GDP is going up because of the billionaires and the many millionaires that we have in this country. But this is what I wanted to tell Kenyans, that all is not lost. We should not lose hope as a country. We pride ourselves in so many other good things. This is a country which produces the best athletes in the whole world. We pride in Eliud Kipchoge among with the others that have been running for this country. This is a country that has the best leaders in this world. We've produced Dr. Muhisa Kitui, he's serving the world. We have good leaders in this country who are working very hard to ensure that Kenyans have a good life. We look at somebody like Charity Ngilu, who has created direct jobs to youths with the tailoring. We have leaders who are doing something for their people. And we should not lose hope as a country, because we are also endowed with so many resources. We have oil, we have minerals, we have so much in this country that we can pride ourselves in. What I will tell Kenyans is that with our hope held high, let's focus on assisting these leaders. Those who are doing wrong, let's keep questioning them. Let's not keep quiet and watch as evil thrives. It's our responsibility to put our government to task. And for those leaders who are doing good, let's keep supporting them. And as we head to 2022, let's vote people who are going to serve this country. Let's vote wisely. We've learned our lesson that from 1963, we were at the same levels with some countries like Singapore, but due to poor leadership, we are here today. So going forward, let's pick people who are going to serve this nation and serve it well to grow.
And Levi, before you close, just
Yes.
30 seconds. Please, I want to ask, development does not have to come at a very high cost. Please keep off Uhuru Park. Those of you who have green lawns at home, allow the poor to at least have one green space that they can enjoy. Please, Uhuru, please, please, if you never do anything for us, just leave Uhuru Park alone.
All right, I hear you. That's the talking points tonight. We'll see you next week. I'll be taking a hiatus for about 5 weeks or so to travel out of the country for some treatment. But Chemutai Kirui will be here next week with these guys, and the show will go on. Good night, God bless you, and see you when we see you.
Right.